because of feeling ashamed. And I felt like I'm not worthy of good things. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of good opportunities. I'm not worthy of peace. And good things are never going to happen to me because I've done this or I've made this mistake, and I'm ashamed of that. So when I think of being cringe, I think of areas of your life that you want to hide, areas that you are ashamed of or embarrassed of. This could be mistakes that you've made in the past, and this could also be failure. We cringe about failure. We cringe about our mess. And so that's how I define being cringe. What aspects of myself are the most cringeworthy? So I'm going to answer this in two ways. I feel like firstly, growing up, I really wanted to be loved, I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be accepted, and I wanted to be heard. And in efforts to get all of that, I betrayed myself. I was so willing to betray myself. I was so willing to morph into something that everyone wanted so that they would love me and validate me. And that was cringe. When I think about the days when I would compromise my values for love, to get someone to love me and accept me and see me, when I would shrink in spaces, it makes me cringe. And I think now at this age, the thing that I kind of find most cringeworthy about me is that I'm strong-willed and I'm quite aggressive, and emotive in my language. And I know that is sometimes a lot for other people. And I do sometimes feel ashamed of that. I wish I could be soft and gentle and feminine, but I'm not like that. So I think sometimes I cringe about that. Like I wish, Ness, could you be just a bit softer and gentler? Shame stole a lot from me. It stole a lot of my years. It stole my confidence. It stole my sense of safety. It stole self-love, and it stole self-acceptance. When you are ashamed of who you are, you cannot show up authentically, and you almost dim your own light. And so I think for me, I spent over a decade hating who I was, ashamed of who I was, ashamed of these cringeworthy parts of myself. I wouldn't, apply for opportunities. I had a very negative self-perception. That's what shame did to me. I thought very low of myself. I didn't think highly of myself at all because of feeling ashamed. And I felt like I'm not worthy of good things. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of good opportunities. I'm not worthy of peace. And good things are never going to happen to me because I've done this or I've made this mistake, and I'm ashamed of that. So a personal experience, I think, would be in relationships. I allowed myself to be mistreated because I didn't think highly of myself, and I had a very low self-esteem. And so I settled for what I was given, right? I settled for what was available to me, not what I was worth. And there was a lot of shame that came from that. There's a lot of shame that comes from settling, whether you're settling for a job, whether you're settling for a relationship, just settling and knowing that, oh man, I dated that person and I'm ashamed to have put myself or allowed myself to stay in a situation that was breaking me and draining me. It's cringy. It's cringy. I cringe when I think of that version of Ness. The girl who shrunk. The girl who allowed people to misuse, abuse her. Yeah. Societal expectations have stopped me from accepting parts of me that aren't necessarily pretty, right? People want you to look a certain way. People want you to speak a certain way. People want you to show up in a certain way. And if you as a woman are not all of those things, and if you as a woman do not tick those boxes, you're not accepted, right? And so for a long time, for over a decade of my life, I yearned to be accepted by society, even if that meant compromising on my values, giving up my needs, my wants, because I wanted that validation from everybody else. And, as much as maybe in some cases I got that validation, it was never enough. Because what I needed to do was accept me and allow myself to be messy. Allow myself to have days when I'm not on top. Allow myself to be confident and vibrant and fierce and sometimes aggressive. It's okay. It's okay to be me, but society, I think, viewing, or looking through the lens of society's expectations, I didn't accept myself. I didn't accept myself, and I felt like something was always wrong with me. Being intentional about allowing myself to unravel. Being intentional about allowing myself to evolve, okay? Being intentional about not boxing myself and not forcing myself to be a certain version of ANESU and consistently be that version of her. Allowing myself to have bad days. Confronting my shame head on. Confronting and accepting the cringe-worthy bits of me, the things that don't sit so pretty, the things that don't sound so nice, and making my voice louder than the voice of the world. I think a lot of us, we listen to what everybody else has to say, but what do you think about you? What are your thoughts about you? And I'm very intentional, especially in this season of my life. I'm intentional about what I say to myself. I do not bully myself because that does not help. It's not helpful. So not bullying myself, safeguarding, or guarding my heart, paying attention to the words that I say to myself, taking an inventory of the thoughts that I allow to linger in my head.
So self-acceptance to me, especially at this stage of my life, is almost a lot more important than self-love, because in order to love yourself, you need to accept yourself. And when we speak about self-acceptance, we're not just saying we accept our pretty, we're saying we accept the mess. We accept the areas of our lives that aren't exactly perfect or that aren't how we want them to look. And then we intentionally work on getting better in those areas. Self-acceptance to me is saying, ANESU, you, as you are enough. You're enough. You're enough. And that's something I didn't believe for such a long time. I thought, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. It's almost like I aspired to reach this level of perfection, and it was so unrealistic, And yeah, I think for me, self-acceptance, it means saying it's okay that right now there are areas that aren't perfect. It's okay. I'm allowed to be all of this. That's what self-acceptance is to me. How has celebrating my uniqueness contributed to my growth? And how has self-acceptance contributed to my growth? I think self-acceptance has allowed me to show up more authentically. Okay? It's allowed me to forgive myself quickly, and forgiving yourself quickly is a way of combating shame in your life. But also self-acceptance has allowed me to be more compassionate with ANESU, to be more compassionate when I do make mistakes. And that's contributed greatly to my growth, because you cannot bully yourself into transformation. You cannot hate yourself into transformation, right? And I'm trying to evolve and I'm trying to grow. And so for me, what that's looked like in my life is doing it from a place of, I accept you, I accept who you are, I accept this mess, and now I'm going to work to get better. That's where I'm at. You're okay. It's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to unravel. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to not have it together. It's okay to collapse sometimes. It's okay. It's okay to be you in your fullness. In a world that tells us we are not enough, in a world that tells us, in order to get there, you must be like this, that, and the fourth. You must tick this box and that box. I am telling you, it's okay to be you. You are unique, and you are made uniquely, and there are certain things that were given to you because you're supposed to steward those gifts. Sometimes for me, as I mentioned earlier on in the series, that sometimes I cringe at maybe my aggression or my approach sometimes. It's okay to be me. I was made like this for a reason. You were made the way you were for a reason. And I want you at your earliest convenience to start accepting who you are and to start loving who you are, to start loving the parts of you that don't necessarily sit pretty, but saying, man, that's unique. I was made uniquely, It's okay to be me in my entirety. And that's my message to women that have struggled with accepting these parts of themselves. At your earliest convenience, accept you.